All right, y'all. We are live. We are live. We got a lot to get into, man. We got a lot to get into. We got a lot to get into, man. We got a lot to get into. All right. Guys, crazy developments in the Epstein case. We do have a reputable source that has been a lot of people have been talking about this whole the cellmate of Epstein's cellmate claiming the Trump administration wanted pervert power broker dead. So we already got confirmation from actually Epstein's brother on the Piers Morgan show, and he said this several times that the Trump administration wanted him dead. It all kind of makes sense because, you know, we also have information that Epstein knew pretty much all the inner workings and who was responsible for what. He was very tapped into Trump's first term. And then when they arrested him and it looked like he was going to go ahead and start, you know, giving up some names and talking about, you know, pretty much get a lot of people in trouble, he ended up getting, quote unquote, murdered. I still think that there's a good chance the guy might be alive. There was a video circulating on X of him apparently walking around in Tel Aviv, guys. They got a guy that looked exactly like him with glasses on. So I wouldn't be surprised if the guy's alive. But according to Epstein's cellmate, let's get into it here. So Jeffrey Epstein's prison cellmate claims to have evidence that the Trump administration wanted the disgraced financier dead and left him unprotected on purpose. According to a document obtained by the Daily Beast, Nicholas Tartaglione, a quadruple murderer and former police officer, filed a pardon/commutation petition last summer in which he claimed that Epstein was deliberately exposed to violence in the hopes that he would not survive long enough to stand trial. Prior to Epstein's death on August 10th, 2019, which officials ruled a suicide, jail bosses decided that America's most high-profile prisoner should share a cell with an accused murderer for reasons that have been never explained. Tartaglione had a reputation for extreme violence and self-confessed hatred of child sex offenders. Epstein told prison guard that he had tried to kill him 3 weeks before he was found dead. Claims it was not a coincidence that he was deliberately moved into the same jail as Epstein and placed in the same cell as the convicted child sex offender. This is a guy, I can't say his last name, Tartaglione. I think it's Italian or something. So this is the dude. This guy's roided up, right? Massive juice head. They had him locked up with Epstein. So this guy goes on ahead and submits a pardon, or let's see. All right, so this is the pardon. I, Nicholas Tartaglione, federal inmate number 7851454, currently in prison at Atwater Penitentiary, submit this petition for pardon and/or commutation of my sentence imposed on June to the Honorable President J. Trump regarding the consecutive life sentences I am serving wrongfully as a wrongfully convicted man. Okay. So yeah, this guy was apparently submitted it like 6 days before Jeffrey Epstein apparently hung himself. Tartaglione claimed that he never touched the man. Yeah, massive developments coming out with just happening with Epstein. We also got a rare video release of Ghislaine Maxwell pleading the fifth, now requesting that Trump give her clemency before speaking. This person's a massive piece of shit. This is the mistress pedophile. Let's get into this sick freak. And by the way, this is the same person that Trump is pardoning under the request of the Israeli government, even though they don't want to talk about that, but that's really who's,
close friend and confidant,
you know.
Jeffrey Epstein.
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition...
Hold up, right, let me...
is pending.
Ms. Maxwell, were you a close friend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein?
I would like to answer your question, but on the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question and any related questions. My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
Now, in today's video,
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you at any time play any role in Jeffrey Epstein's activities involving the recruitment, grooming, or trafficking of young women or girls?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, have you ever coerced, directed, or otherwise instructed any young woman or girl to provide sexual favors to Mr. Epstein or any other individual?
Yes.
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, did you and Jeffrey Epstein attempt to surround yourselves with influential individuals to curry favor and shield yourselves from potential scrutiny?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, can you please provide us with all the names of other additional co-conspirators to the crimes perpetuated by you and Jeffrey Epstein?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Let the record reflect that Ms. Maxwell has invoked the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination. Ms. Maxwell, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Ms. Maxwell, is it your intention to answer every question put to you by the committee today with the assertion of your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
The answer to that is yes also. So just as her lawyer, I'll tell you, yes, that's her intention.
All right, guys. So, yeah, that's Ghislaine Maxwell requesting Trump give her clemency before she starts to spill the beans. And, you know, what's interesting is this is a similar situation that we saw with Jonathan Pollard, where Bill Clinton was supposedly threatened with a release of a sex tape between him and Monica Lewinsky, or a phone sex conversation, if he didn't release Jonathan Pollard. And this Mossad spy, confirmed by the newly released unredacted Epstein files, right? That essentially her and Jeffrey Epstein were Mossad. We're working for the Mossad, and she's definitely, they're definitely looking out for her, and she's probably going to be pardoned pretty soon, because they already have Trump under their thumb, really. And I mean, we can see just how he's behaving with Iran, and you could definitely tell Trump does not want to go to war with Iran, and neither does, he knows he's going to lose his base. He's already apparently about to get impeached before March 31st. Yeah, he needs like 6 more votes, and the midterms are just looking horrible for the guy, right? So a new Iran war would just, I think he's cooked either way, but it'll make it even worse for him, and there's no coming back from that. And we're finding out too, like, this was it wasn't just, Mossad, this was like a CIA, MI6, even Saudi intelligence. We're finding out that Saudi intelligence was involved with the Epstein files. We're hearing about, some of the sultans and stuff like that. They were requesting torture videos, and they want to surgically install penises and all this other weird stuff. So yeah, man, it just, I don't know, this is just sick. We're also going to get into this video here that is very interesting. An IRGC official, Hussein Kanani, claims Iran has reliable intelligence indicating that Saudi Arabia owns a nuclear bomb, and that the U.S. and Israel are fully aware of this. Iranian officials also believe Turkey has nuclear weapons via Pakistan. Let's get into this video here. Very interesting. And we talked about this before, that Saudi and Turkey are undeclared nuclear states, but they essentially have something guaranteed under a Muslim NATO coalition thing, where they'll be able to use Pakistan's nuclear weapons if need be, if they're threatened by United States and Israel's imperialistic ambitions in the Middle East. Let's get into this clip here.
The United States, and of course the Israelis, are saying, we don't want Iran to have nuclear capabilities, because if Iran has nuclear capabilities, then the Saudis are going to want nuclear capabilities. Saudis are going to say, oh, they got a bomb, we want a bomb.
They have a bomb. The Saudi Arabia at this time, I have information. Very information about this and intelligence, that the Saudi Arabia at this time, they have a nuclear bomb, and activities the United States know very well. But
hold on. You just said Saudi Arabia right now already has nuclear capability. They have the ability to use a nuclear bomb.
Yes, that's right.
Right now?
Yes, right now.
How do you know that?
We have a lot of information from the other Arab countries. For example, some Yemeni working inside the site of the nuclear inside the Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Yeah.
And who gave it to them? The Americans, the Israelis, or both?
I think both of them, they know. And the United States tried to use the plan for the Abraham. One of the condition of the United and Saudi Arabia joined to the Abraham, what to call it?
The Abraham Accord.
Yeah, yes, Abraham Accord.
The Accords.
Is one of that is the Saudi Arabia must be like the Pakistan. The Pakistan has a nuclear and they have a bomb, but under control of the United States. Saudi Arabia just only, according the model of the Pakistan, they can use the nuclear power and the atomic bomb without any reaction of the Israel against them. If they sign this contract of the Israel about the Abraham for join to the policy of the United States.
What does that say, though? Think about that for a minute. If does Israel know that the Saudis have a bomb?
Yeah, I think, yes, they know.
If the Israelis know that the Saudis have a bomb and they're okay with it, think about what that means. That means they're allies. They're very close.
You know that Saudi Arabia is not alone. It is joined with the other Arab and Islam countries.
In the Gulf States?
Yes, in the Gulf States.
UAE,
yeah.
Qatar, you
And
think?
they have a lot of contract with the United States, more than $10 trillion. They have signed a contract with the United States and Trump. And the Israel, they don't like to any cancel of this contract if they want to attack the Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so they definitely have, and by the way, you know, nuclear technology is fairly old. It was 1930s technology. It's not, you know, a surprise that a country like Saudi Arabia that's oil rich would have the capabilities to build that bomb and would know the know-how about it. And they use the nuclear topic as like more of a propagandized, you know, to kind of scare the people, you know, nuclear and atomic, and Trump even kind of hints at it because he knows that all these countries really have the nuclear bomb. Even Iran has it. The Pentagon is already, some people have spilled the beans in the Pentagon and have told a lot of people, a lot of insiders have come out and talked about how Iran already has a nuclear bomb. And it's funny because when Trump mentions it, he says that word nuclear. It's so, you know, he always emphasizes that word nuclear because the nuclear word is really the scam behind the whole war with Iran. And it's not about the nuclear because everybody already has the nuclear, right? They already have the bomb. Whether they're going to get it from Russia, from China, from Pakistan. But there's been, you know, several people that have come out and spilled the beans. Like I think Alex Jones was talking about this. Steve Bannon and them know, people close to Trump, that, you know, Iran already has it. Right, they already have it. And Russia has even claimed that they've created a like a nuclear style bomb with the same effect, same damage without even the radiation, right? So they have like some type of plasma bomb that causes the same amount of damage with no radiation. So it's the technology's become so advanced that it's not a surprise that these countries have the bomb. They wouldn't be that confident if they didn't. Let's just be honest, right? Erdogan would not be as confident as he is defying, you know, and he's part of NATO, and he consistently talks about, you know, even though he sells oil to Israel, he consistently, you know, defies, like, talks about conquering Israel and all this other crap, and you know, it's all a bunch of baloney. The real goal in the Middle East for Israel is to neutralize Iran as much as possible, so the country's able to overthrow the Ayatollah and hopefully install like a pro-Western government. Even if they have the nukes, even if they have the you know, they want to install a puppet like Rizzo Pahlavi or one of these other guys. And so that they already lost the decades worth of recruitment of the Mossad agents in Iran to try and create this, this protest type situation where it looks like they're going to overthrow the regime, and then the U.S. comes and saves the day, and they already lost that ass. So that's decades of work trashed within like 2 to 3 weeks because Trump fucked over Netanyahu. Let's just be honest. He was supposed to attack right then and there, and Trump backed out because he doesn't want the war. He knows what it's going to do to his presidency. And that's why Netanyahu was rushing over to the United States Wednesday to try to convince him, or to show him like, hey, we're going to release a video if you don't fucking, we're going to release a video of you having sex, you know, like we've already released some of the files. We're going to actually release a fucking video of you fucking, you know, and they're really going to want you out of that. You're really going to get impeached then. And we're starting to see some of Trump's cronies too, like this sick freak, man, Steve Bannon. We've talked about how Steve Bannon, there's a photo of him with literal herpes, just rotting under his under lip, and people, we're like calling that out, and this guy's been back and forth to jail. So now we're getting information that he was really close to Jeffrey Epstein, and they were sending each other like very weird pedophilic suspect text messages. Like, let's take a look at this. He says, all roads lead to Beijing or Tel Aviv, winky face, and he was sending him like comments like, oh, I liked the torture video you sent me, and all this other weird shit that some of the Saudi princes were talking to Epstein about. They were on doing some weird freaky shit for a little change. And we also have we're seeing all these pictures of Bannon and Epstein, you know, bromancing. There's no way that these pieces of shit weren't getting it on. Here's another little email exchange I wanted to also read over, because this is holy shit. So Jeffrey Epstein, there are 20,000 hackers showing up at the same place. They will be sharing ideas on hacking crypto exchanges, voting booths, medical records, crypto wallets. Look at this guy. This guy's spelling is I think he was dyslexic or retarded, because all of his emails are like this. Denial of service attacks, competition as to which team can break a secure code, a Jeopardy style competition, re-breaking phones, networks, hacking self-driving cars, planes, etc. These guys were talking about like hacking crypto exchanges and shit back in 2018, and just absolutely this is another exchange here. Epstein just received a video of Stone attacking you / Jeffrey Clinton's pimp etc. Like look at the way this guy types, man. Holy shit, this guy's fucking retarded. Roger Stone, who cares? He says stuff like this all the time, face to face. Of course not. And Alex Jones, no worry. I'm in Wednesday night till Sunday. Lots to discuss. This guy's like dyslexic or something's up, man, because all his text messages are like that. I don't know how this fucker was able to communicate with these people. But yeah, and this is Epstein talking about how if they lose the midterms and the Democrats win in 2028, you know, he's going to prison and all this other baloney. And we're also going to get into so one person that's like declaring war on MAGA and is going all out is Thomas Massie. Now, Thomas Massie, you know, he's gained traction after, obviously, we saw him earlier in the year, or last year, where he essentially talked about how, you know, APAC. People have their little APAC soldiers running around. They're APAC panhandlers that sit around and pretty much tell all these politicians what to say, what they can and can't say. And he made the claim that he didn't have one. And then surprisingly, his wife apparently dies, unfortunately, like a week or two after. We are finding out that his wife was actually there's some interesting connection with his wife and her death, and how it might have not just been a coincidence, because she was registered as a Democrat. And it's interesting because Trump made a tweet about Massey way before any of this stuff happened, and he was talking about how
that would be a problem.
His wife being a liberal has caused Massey to go insane, and that she dies like a couple of weeks after, which is like, and people were looking at that like, wow. But so this is Massey on CNN, man. So he's talking about Lex Wexner, Victoria's Secret CEO, who was the co-conspirator with Epstein. He helped fund his pedophile mansion on Epstein's Island, and he was best friends with Robert Maxwell's father.
An example of something, maybe it wasn't intentional on their part. I'd like to hear his take on the redaction of the CEO, who's listed as a co-conspirator in the 2019 child sex trafficking case.
So can I ask you, because, and I want to ask if this is the same person, Todd Blanche also said about that tonight that the document you're citing there has victim names in it,
Correct.
seeming to say that's why there are redactions. He said, we have just unredacted Les Wexner's name from this document, but his name already appears in the file thousands of other times, and he says the Justice Department is hiding nothing. Is that the retired CEO that you're referencing?
It is. He unredacted it after I found it. That's a problem, and I'm glad they've admitted they made a mistake by redacting that.
So you're saying it was redacted when you went in there today, and after you tweeted that, they unredacted it?
Correct. Now he's got 4 other names he needs to unredact. Did he respond to that? There's a list of 20 people, and there's 4 men in there that need to be unredacted. Here's another troubling thing that I found.
Can you say who those 4 men are tonight?
I don't think they're well known, and so if I did, it wouldn't matter, but I could probably say them on the floor of the House. But I'll give the DOJ a chance to do what they did in these 2 examples, where I've discovered something and now they've responded.
Yeah, shout out to him. And you know, again, it's you know, we are it's interesting that he would name him on CNN. So, you know, I don't know if they, again, like, why are they this is another thing too, because someone like him will be platformed on these mainstream media outlets with the shit that he says, right? Which is, if anybody else were to say that, like, for example, people who do say that, like, you know, Fuentes and all these other guys, and they'll never be platformed on mainstream media. So you gotta kind of like look at what the motive is here. Why they're allowing this guy to talk about this type of stuff on mainstream media, why they haven't shut it down. So they probably want this shit to be at least circulating in the average American person's psyche, and it could be that they're doing it to fuck with Trump, you know, because they want the average American to kind of learn about, you know, Wexner and Maxwell, and all this shit used to be like under wraps, to the point where, like, if you were to even talk about it on YouTube, they would take the video down immediately. But now all of a sudden it's being broadcasted to the American public. That's to show you there's some sort of desperation going on with either with Trump or the current administration, or they want the American people to know about this, so that way if something were to happen to Trump, there wouldn't be like a strong reaction to it because he's a sick piece of shit pedophile, you know, or you know, they want the American people to distrust their government. There's something's going on, you know, and a lot of these people are going to using these as like little psyop operations. It's, you know, where they'll have a guy like this guy who's completely to the right, you know, on this topic, and then you'll have like, you know, people denying it and all this other shit to save face, you know. So they have a mixed bag now, which wasn't the case 5 years ago. If you were to talk about any of this stuff, they'd immediately, they won't even invite you to CNN, you know. So again, things have changed, man.
So much for being here. I do want to ask you about that comment from the President of the United States insulting you like that at the National Prayer Breakfast. What's your response to it?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to know I'm in the president's prayers. But second of all, you know, on the internet, some people have suggested that MIT should take my degree away. And my response is, which one should they take away? I have 2 degrees from MIT. And I'm sorry you booked a moron today on your show.
Well, fair enough. I do want to talk to you about your fight to release the Epstein files in a minute. But first, I want to get your reaction to the news about how the president posted then deleted this racist video depicting the Obama as apes. He has refused to apologize. Do you think he should apologize to the Obamas?
He should absolutely apologize. He's gone too far. I mean, he's attacked my wife recently online, and I do think there are limits. If for a while it's kind of funny, but once you pass certain guardrails, like attacking a man's spouse or getting into racist tropes, I think it's somebody at the White House, maybe Susie Wiles, needs to go to the president and just ask him for his phone and maybe ask him just to show him the tweet before he sends it out.
Yeah, just to follow up on your wife, because it is alarming. Multiple times he has gone after her in social media posts. I mean, how angry does that make you?
It doesn't make me angry, but it's unfair to my spouse. I mean, look, Donald Trump was giving to Democrats when my wife was working for Right to Work and Campaign for Liberty, and Rand Paul, in fact, worked in Rand Paul's office over a decade ago, back when Donald Trump was still a Democrat. So I think it's wrong. Fortunately, everything he says about her is untrue, but it's beyond the pale. And people recoil when he goes to those racist tropes or when he attacks spouses. It's just uncalled for.
Yeah. So he's talking about how Trump put up a video depicting the Obamas as monkeys, and a few of his other enemies or whoever, disagrees with him as different animals and shit, and he's the lion, and the guy's whacked out, man. And I'm pretty sure there's someone actually like telling him what to say now. I think that he's mentally, he's not there. Let's just be honest with you guys. They need to invoke. He's mentally not sane, and the fact that this guy is so in control, you know, that Epstein, Netanyahu, some of these people could control him to the point where he's gonna essentially kick off like World War III. Somebody needs to call it in and get him out of office as being mentally unstable and